Hello everybody, today I'll be talking about externalities in Hong Kong. Well, what are externalities? Let's first define externalities to set the stage for our understanding on the impact on their impacts on Hong Kong. Well, externalities are the unintended side effects of an economic activity that comes from either production or consumption, which affects third parties that are not directly involved in the transaction. And these effects can be both positive or negative, and they occur outside the market mechanism, which means they are not reflected in the price of the goods or service. A negative externality occurs when an activity imposes external costs on others. For example, production factories cause air pollution, harming public health, or traffic congestion, where individuals choose to drive cars during peak hours, rush hours, which leads to increased traffic congestion on roads for others. On the other hand, positive externalities occurs when an activity provides external benefits to others. For example, getting vaccinated improves overall public safety and health, while beekeeping provides pollination services to nearby crops and flowers, which benefits farmers and the environment as a whole. Externalities matter because in a free market, individuals and firms only consider their private costs and benefits when making decisions. They ignore these external costs or benefits, leading to market failure. This, in many cases, results in overproduction in the case of negative externalities or underconsumption in the case of positive externalities. And now that we understand what externalities are, let's see some real-life externalities in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, a common negative externality comes from construction. Construction is usually considered a negative externality as it imposes external costs on third parties. These include noise pollution, where construction sites often use heavy machinery, drilling, and other equipment to disrupt the lives of nearby residents, which causes stress, sleep disturbances, and long-term mental health issues. Another example of construction contributing to a negative externality is through air pollution, where construction generates dust and emissions from machinery and vehicles. This contributes to poor air quality, leading to respiratory illnesses among nearby residents. Although not filmed in my video, large-scale construction can cause traffic congestion, as projects often block roads or increase traffic due to the movement of heavy vehicles, which leads to delays, increased fuel consumption, and higher vehicle emissions. Let's start with the construction as an example of a negative externality. From the last slide, we can see a construction company building a park in a neighborhood. While the company earns profit and provides leisure, it also creates noise pollution and other negative harms. Here's how we represent this on the graph. On the x-axis, we have the quantity of construction projects, while on the y-axis, we have our price or cost. The curves on this graph include the marginal benefit, or the MB. It slopes downward because each additional project provides less value to society. The private marginal cost curve, or the PMC, slopes upward because it gets more expensive for firms to build additional projects. Above the PMC is the social marginal cost curve, or the SMC, which includes both private costs and external costs like noise pollution. We have to be aware of the equilibrium points on this graph. In a free market, firms only consider their private costs, the PMC, so they produce where MB intersects PMC. This is the market equilibrium at points QE and PE. However, society would prefer fewer projects because of the external costs. The socially optimal equilibrium therefore occurs where MB intersects SMC, which gives us points QO and PO on our graph. Now let's talk about deadweight loss. The triangle between SMC and PMC from QO to QE represents deadweight loss, the societal harm caused by overproduction. So, what would happen if this market is left in private hands? Well, first, firms will overproduce, where QE is larger than QO, because they ignore external costs like noise pollution. Second, societies will end up worse due to excessive construction projects. Now let's take a look at a positive externality in Hong Kong using Hong Kong's MTR as an example. I personally use the MTR a lot and I can't really imagine the city functioning without it. Here's a video I took of a typical MTR journey. When people use the MTR or other public transportations, they can reduce traffic congestion and also improve air quality by lowering vehicle emissions, which are benefits that extend beyond individual riders like myself. Here's how we represent this on a graph. On the x-axis, we have the quantity, this time representing MTR rides. On the y-axis, we have price or benefit again. Now, for the curves. The marginal cost curve slope upward because providing more rides increases operational costs. The private marginal benefit PMB curve slopes downward because each additional ride provides less private benefit to individuals. Above PMB is the social marginal benefit curve, the SMB curve, which includes both private benefits and external benefits like reduced traffic. Now let's take a look at the equilibrium points. In a free market, individuals only consider their private benefits, so they consume where PMB intersects MC. This is the market equilibrium at QE and PE. However, society would prefer more rides because of the external benefits. The socially optimal equilibrium quantity therefore occurs where SMB intersects MC, which gives us the points QO and PO. However, just like before, there is deadweight loss. And the triangle between SMB and PMB from QE to QO represents the deadweight loss, the missed opportunities for societal gains. So what happens if this market is left in private hands? Well, individuals firstly underconsume, at QE is less than QO, because they don't consider how their use benefits others. Society misses out on potential gains like cleaner air and less traffic congestion. Now that we've explored the externalities caused by construction and the MTR, let's look at how private solutions can address these issues. Private solutions rely on individuals or businesses working together to internalize the costs or benefits of an externality without government intervention. Let's start with construction. For construction, one possible private solution is through private agreements or contracts. For example, nearby residents could negotiate directly with the construction firm to reduce noise or pollution. The firm might agree to limit working hours, use quieter machinery, or even compensate residents for the inconvenience caused by their activities. While this solution sounds promising, it's often difficult to implement because of high transaction costs. Negotiating with multiple affected parties can be time-consuming and expensive, and not all residents may agree on terms. Additionally, power imbalances between large construction firms and individual residents can make negotiations unfair. For the MTR, a private solution could involve voluntary contributions by businesses that benefit from its operation. For example, companies that are near MTR stations could fund station improvements or expansions as they gain from increased customer access and employee convenience. This helps internalize external benefits of public transportation. However, while voluntary contributions can provide some funding, they are unlikely to fully address the underconsumption problem caused by positive externalities. Many businesses may choose not to contribute, relying on others to fund improvements. As a result, this solution may not be sufficient all by its own. Next, let's explore how the government can step in to correct these market failures. I'll discuss two possible government solutions for each scenario, for the construction as negative externality and the MTR as a positive externality, and explain which solution that I personally feel like is more effective. So let's start with construction. The first solution that comes to mind is tax, where the government imposes a tax on construction firms equal to the external costs they create, like noise and air pollution. This tax forces them to internalize these costs, making them more mindful of their impact on society. As a result, they may reduce production or adopt cleaner practices. The second solution is stricter government regulations, such as limiting working hours, enforcing noise restrictions, or requiring eco-friendly materials and technologies. These rules directly target harmful behaviors and ensure compliance. Between the two, I believe that tax is the most effective because it provides flexibility and incentivizes innovation. Firms are encouraged to find cost-effective ways to reduce their negative impact, making it a long-term solution. For the MTR, the first solution is subsidies. The government can subsidize operations or reduce ticket prices, making public transportation more affordable. This encourages more people to use the MTR, moving consumption closer to the socially optimal level. The second solution possible is public investment, where the government funds MTR expansions or service improvements. This makes public transportation more accessible and attractive, benefiting both users and society as a whole. And while both are great options, I think subsidies are the most effective in the short term because they directly increase ridership by lowering costs for consumers. This helps address affordability and boosts usage quickly.